All information contained in this podcast is general in nature and does not consider your individual circumstances. You should consider the appropriateness of this information with regards to your individual objectives, financial situation, and needs. Welcome to Sharing More Than the Sheets, a podcast to help you and your partner make better financial and lifestyle decisions so that you can both focus on the things that you love. I'm your host, Michael Khouri, financial planner, green thumb, husband, and just dad. This segment is called Michael's Magic Moment. It's my opportunity to play a little snippet from one of our previous episodes, which resonated with our listeners, that I received feedback from, or I felt really had an impact on some people's lives. Hope you enjoy. Going back to this episode, I talk about some tips and some strategies that you can implement when trying to teach your children about money in the real world. Now, they are never too young to learn about it. And as an advisor, I meet so many clients that drop a comment or they'll explicitly tell me that when they were younger, they wish someone taught them these things. That when they were at school, they wish they learnt these things. That when they were growing up and becoming adults, they wish they had some sort of guidance or someone telling them these things. Now, as a parent, we have a duty to teach our children about the world, about the dangers of the world, about how to look after themselves mentally, physically, how to care for others, what they need to do to get ahead in life. And part of that is teaching them about money, teaching them the basics, teaching them to be comfortable with money. And these points that I'm about to go through in this episode, and it's probably one of my favorite episodes in all honesty, because as a parent, it even made me reflect on what I'm telling my children and what I'm teaching my children. And as a parent listening to this, or you might be a potential parent, or you might have some nieces or nephews or grandchildren, I'd really encourage you to go back to them, spend some time to talk to them about these things. And you will be so surprised. Something to you may seem so simple and so obvious and so basic, but to them, it'll open up a door into a whole new world. It may answer some questions that they've had, or it might just help them make better decisions next time they're talking about money or dealing with money or looking at something that they want to buy. The first thing that I can probably talk about is talking to kids about money. Just talking about it. As most of us growing up, our parents didn't really talk about money. It was one of those things that wasn't talked about at the dinner table, but just talking to them about it and having discussions with them, you'd be so surprised where it actually takes you. And the first thing is to talk about how money is actually earned. And apart from working for money, just talking about investing and talking about the fact that some people invest money to make money, or some people work to make money. That's probably the best place to start, especially because as far as a child is concerned, things just appear when they want them to be there. So food is just there when they need it. A house is above, there's a roof above their heads. There's water when they need it. If they need to buy something, their parents can normally get it for them. So just talking about where money actually comes from really helps to set the ground as far as discussing these types of topics. The second thing is to talk about needs versus wants and to educate children on the difference between a need and a want. Telling them that something like a PlayStation isn't really a need, it's more of a want. And telling them that food on the table is a need, and really helping them identify the difference between the two. And again, just talking about it. It could be just literally a very simple 5-minute discussion or a 5-second discussion, but just talking about it. The next thing is to talk about where money actually goes. And traditionally, money is a physical item that we can hold and touch. And these days, it still is an item that you can touch and feel. But more and more are we using things like credit cards and debit cards, and these days there's even tapping. Most of us use our phones now to pay for things, or our Apple Watches even. So literally a card isn't even seen, but just explaining to children what is tap and go, what is tap and pay? How does it work? How does the technology work? What happens when you tap your phone onto something and then you can suddenly walk out of a store with a bag of clothes or food? Just getting them to understand that concept. Don't just assume that they understand it, because again, it's really important to put these things into context and to help children understand what is actually going on and where the money is going when a phone is being tapped or an Apple Watch is being tapped. The other thing is, while shopping, talking to children about how prices differ for different things. So showing them why there's, for example, 2 different types of milk. One of them is $3 and one of them is $5. And just explaining to them why one is more expensive than the other so that they can understand the concept that some things are more expensive than others. The other thing about that as well, another thing to consider on that topic is even looking at deals and discounts and explaining what a discount is and how to read the tag at the shop. So, for example, when you look at an item and you can see that this is $4 per 100 grams and this is $8 per 100 grams, what that actually means. And to help children understand what a discount and what a sale actually is as well. Because all these things will help them identify value. And just because something is cheaper doesn't always mean it's better. The other thing is to work out the difference between items as far as even quality is concerned. So, when you're looking at, for example, 2 types of cereal, and one of them is your standard cereal and one of them is an organic cereal, and just explaining to them, okay, this is double the price, but it's organic. It's healthier. It doesn't have these particular things in it. Another thing, and I mentioned it earlier, is paying bills. So electricity bill, phone bill, just explaining how these things around us appear. So telling them that, we have electricity because we get a bill every 3 months and we pay that bill using our money. And that means we can have electricity. So just the most basic things will help children understand these concepts, and it will help them actually appreciate what's around them and appreciate what they have as well. Part of paying bills and part of spending money, unfortunately, is avoiding scams. And helping children understand what scams actually are is really, really important, especially now that they're using phones and iPads and computers more than ever. As an example, my son plays this game called Roblox, and he's been nagging me for the last couple of days about discounts or ways to get free Robux, they call them. So that's the currency in this game called Roblox. And he's screenshotted all these pictures from Google Images of all these codes and special ways to get free Robux. And they all direct him to this particular website to go to. And I essentially just showed him that it's a scam. He still didn't believe me, so I had to Google Roblox scam and had to show him some videos on how these things are actually scams. And then he started to understand it. So talking about scams and helping children avoid them is a whole new episode in itself. But just talking about these things when it comes to banking scams, credit card scams, anything online, anything to do with spending money will only help improve the relationship that your child has with money. Thanks for joining us on Sharing More Than the Sheets. Please make sure you subscribe to be updated with future episode releases, and feel free to share this episode with any friends or family that you think it might benefit. Please visit us at sharingmorethanthesheets.com.au to submit questions or requests for future podcast topics. These podcasts have been brought to you by Better Financial Planning Australia. To book a 15-minute phone chat, visit betterfinancialplanning.com.au.